Hey YouTube, it's Jeff at Darkmoon Metals. In one of our past videos you may have seen, Dana and I forged a cross. After the forging was complete, Dana engraved it with the word peace, and we put that cross up on eBay. Dana has been doing a lot of practicing with the engraver lately, and as a business owner I want to try to do things that'll help show off the skills of everybody who's involved. Granted, right now it's just me and Dana and Vered, but I really want to start to showcase what Dana can do with the engraving. And I've been looking for something, a way that I can help her get materials to engrave that we could easily sell. One of the things that I came up with is pewter. Now, I was able to get a whole bunch of scrap pewter from my local Goodwill. A lot of times you'll get awards, bowls, cups, things like that, with an engraving on them or something, and the downside to pewter is that it dents and dings really easy, and you find it in a lot of tag sales and things like that. But what's nice is that it's a very, very soft metal. It's very, very easy to melt, and I'm going to show you a really simple way to cast it into something that could be a little bit more usable. Since Dana does the engraving, what I'm going to be doing is casting them into these little pendants, and they're flat on both sides. I might put the Darkmoon maker's mark on the back, and then she can do the engraving on the front. So I'm going to show you how to melt down the pewter into this little pendant. So what I have here is a block of steel nested nice and tight in my vise, and I have brought this down to about a 400 grit finish. I started out with 80, moved to 120, then I think I had 320 in there somewhere, and then 400. So I have a nice smooth finish. And it's important that this is flat, especially if you're going to do a two-piece mold like this. The top part is very, very simple. This is just a 1/4 inch piece of steel with the shape cut out that I want to make my pendants. Now, I happen to do this on a milling machine, but you can really take your time. You can do it with a drill press, a Dremel, and get those edges nice and clean. If you have a mill, it goes a heck of a lot faster. But what you want to make sure is that this surface and this surface are flat. When you put them together, this makes your mold. I'm going to come in with a C-clamp. Tighten it down, and that's all there is to my mold process. Now, a lot of people might think that the pewter is going to leak out the sides, but pewter is not as thin as water when it's molten. So you can have a little bit of a gap, not much. You want those two surfaces to be married, and you don't want to be able to see daylight through them. But water would still leak through this. Pewter in its molten state is nowhere near as fluid as water. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add pewter to this after I heat the dye with an acetylene torch. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to heat up the mold. Now you can use a propane torch to do this. I'm using this just because it's handy, and it does work a heck of a lot faster than propane. The flame in this is a little bit hotter. I've got my pewter in a pair of spring-loaded tongs. I'm just going to feed it in like so. Grab my next piece. I got them all lined up, ready to go on the back of the vise. The one thing I like about using the hotter flame, it seems like whatever impurities are in the pewter kind of come to the top and just burn off, which is really nice for the finished product. You don't really have to do a lot to it as far as cleaning. Shut the torch down. Now we are going to let this sit until it's about room temperature, and then we'll come and we'll pull it out of the mold. So I've let this cool to the touch. It's been about 15, maybe 20 minutes. The back is a little bit convex, but the front is very, very smooth. This is really nice for engraving, which is my goal here. Now this is still stuck inside of the mold. While it's in the mold though, I'm going to come along, I'm going to take just a little bit of Scotch-Brite and Scotch-Brite up the back a little bit and the front. Just clean it up a little bit while it's still in the mold. It's a little easier to handle. Now to get this out, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bolt. Now this bolt I cleaned up on the belt sander, made it nice and smooth, so it won't leave very many marks in my pewter. Ball peen hammer. And as you can see, it pops out pretty easily. Grab that. And there you go. Now these pendants that we're making are relatively rustic, so I don't really have to worry about the finish on these too much, but I am going to make this a little bit bigger by hammering it out on the anvil. So I'll show you that step next. I'm going to start with the flat side down. I'm going to take a ball peen hammer. Now that thins it out a little bit, but if you look at the front, that is pretty nice and smooth. I am going to hit this surface with the hammer lightly just to add a hair of texture to it, because the type of pendant we're making, we're doing for like a Renaissance type affair, and I don't want it to look nice and smooth. I want it to look a little like the back. You can see how the back has a nice hammer texture to it, and I'm going to do the same thing with the front, but very lightly. I don't know if you can tell the difference on the camera, but it adds just a little bit of texture to it, and to me it's just more appealing. The last thing I need to do is just drill a hole and countersink it a little bit, and I'll show you how to do that. So I drilled the hole off camera. The next thing to do is to add a little countersink to it, kind of soften the edges of the hole like I did on this one. Now I didn't do this with a drill bit. What I did is I came in and used this. And all it is put the point in the hole, give it a couple of taps, and that's how that happens. No need to do it on a drill press, and a couple of nice light taps you get something that's really nice, really symmetrical, and it just really finishes off the piece. So I'm going to give this to Dana to engrave. She's not here right now, but this video was just meant to show you how easy it is to make something really nice out of reclaimed pewter that you find at tag sales and Goodwill and things like that. Alright YouTube, I'm going to end the video here. The one thing I do want to point out is I did not talk about any of the safety issues that can arise when you're pouring pewter. I am not a pewter smith by any stretch of the imagination. I don't work in a foundry. I do simple metalwork, fabrication, and some blacksmithing. If you are interested in learning how to pour pewter, there are other channels out on YouTube. People have been doing this for decades, and I'm not going to try to guess at what I should tell you as far as your own personal safety. I'm kind of learning as I go, and if you are interested in smelting pewter or making pendants like I'm doing, I would highly encourage you to go out, do diligence, get your information, and make sure that you're comfortable with what you're doing before you start. That being said, one of the reasons I'm doing this, I maybe spent a total of $4 on a bowl and $2 on a cup. And I got enough pewter to cast anywhere between, I'd say, 15 and 20 of those little pendants. I haven't finished using all my pewter yet. But for that $6, I can create something that Dana can engrave. And at a fair, these are going to go from anywhere between, I'd say, $15 to $20. So it's quite a good markup, and it utilizes her talent. She can do them relatively quickly. And when you're running a business, that's what you want. You want to be, versatile. So for me to be able to find inexpensive materials to work with and turn them into something that other people might enjoy, it's a win-win for my business. And I wanted to share that with you guys today. So for now, I'm going to leave you to the wonderful new 2016. This is my first video of the year. I shouldn't have waited 21 days to do it into the year, but I've been busy, and we've been doing pretty well here. Got a couple more ideas for some videos coming up this week, some projects I do have coming in that I want to share with you guys, so look for them. I look forward to seeing you guys again, and until then, this has been Jeff at Darkmoon Metals. We'll see you again soon.